Have you ever felt a subtle nudge that changed everything for you? Or perhaps a stern warning that brought you to your senses? Today we're going to hear two remarkable stories of how Padre Pio guided souls, sometimes with a strong sense of urgency. Stay tuned. Welcome to Following Padre Pio. Whether you're a returning viewer or new to our channel, we're thrilled to have you here. Padre Pio, a Capuchin friar and miracle worker, continues to inspire and intercede today. Discover how his legacy can touch your life and your loved ones. Subscribe now and let's embark on this spiritual journey together. Now on to today's story. Today we delve into two remarkable stories about Padre Pio's unique way of guiding souls, sometimes with stern warnings, other times with subtle nudges. Both accounts highlight his deep concern for the salvation of souls and his extraordinary ability to touch even the most reluctant hearts. These stories come from Diane Allen's Pray, Hope, and Don't Worry, True Stories of Padre Pio, and they reveal just how far Padre Pio would go to bring someone closer to God. Let's dive into the first story. Once, when Padre Pio was a young priest, he visited a man who was gravely ill. The doctor told Padre Pio that the man wouldn't survive the night. The young Capuchin prayed at the man's bedside and gave him his priestly blessing. "It would be a good idea if you made your confession now," Padre Pio gently suggested. "Oh no, I'm not going to do that," the man replied. "Maybe later, when I'm feeling better." Padre Pio made a great effort to convince the man of the importance of making his confession now. He tried every approach he could think of, but the man could not be persuaded. Padre Pio thought to himself, "Desperate times call for desperate measures," and this was definitely a desperate time. He said goodbye to the man and walked toward the door. "We will meet again, but the next time we meet, it will be at the cemetery," Padre Pio said. The man was shocked at his words and asked for an explanation. "Your doctor has told me that your condition is so serious that you will not last through the night," Padre Pio explained. The gravity of the situation finally struck the man. He immediately asked to make his confession. Padre Pio absolved him and gave him Holy Communion. That very night, the man died peacefully, prepared to meet the Lord. And with that, we conclude our first story. What a great example of Padre Pio's love for souls. His persistence wasn't born out of stubbornness, but from a deep concern for the salvation of souls. It serves as a reminder for us all to stay spiritually prepared, for we know neither the day nor the hour. Now, let's move on to our second story, one that shows how Padre Pio's influence extended even beyond his earthly life. Listen to this. A man named Aurelio Montalvo, who lived in Bolzano, northern Italy, would frequently travel about 825 kilometers, or approximately 512 miles, just to visit Padre Pio. He was so devoted to Padre Pio that, at one point, he decided to move his entire family to San Giovanni Rotondo. He bought a hotel close to the convent, and from its income he was able to provide for his family. Now, Aurelio's brother was an atheist and had never met Padre Pio. He visited San Giovanni Rotondo shortly after Padre Pio died in 1968. He wanted to see Padre Pio's body before the funeral. However, it was so crowded in the church that the Capuchins decided it would be best to lock the doors. So, he never got to see Padre Pio, not even in death. One day, Aurelio and his brother had a conversation about the Holy Capuchin. His brother admitted that he had no particular feelings for Padre Pio and certainly didn't believe he was a saint. While he did feel some curiosity about him, all the talk about Padre Pio left him completely indifferent. Little did he know how his perspective was about to change. Not long after their conversation, Aurelio's brother walked over to the convent church and sat alone on one of the back benches. Suddenly, he felt a tap on his shoulder and heard a stern voice. He turned to see who it was, but there was no one there. He became frightened and immediately got up and moved to another bench in the church, only for it to happen again. A second time, he heard an authoritative voice and felt someone touch his shoulder. He looked in all directions, but there was no one there. He was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat. He had no idea what was happening. When Aurelio met his brother afterward, he recounted the strange experience. To Aurelio's surprise, his brother asked him, "How does one go about making their confession?" Aurelio happily explained everything about the sacrament in great detail. His brother also asked, "How does one prepare himself to make his first Holy Communion?" As you can imagine, Aurelio was more than glad to explain everything. That night, Aurelio's brother had a dream. Padre Pio was standing beside him with a rosary in his hand and taught him how to pray. Prompted by his recent experiences, he asked to be received into the Catholic Church. From that moment on, he lived a devout life. End of story. Thank you so much for watching. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends. Love our videos? Then click the bell to get notified as soon as we upload something new. Otherwise, you will miss out. Check out the specially recommended videos on the end screen or click the links in the description below for a full selection of great content, including our Padre Pio Thoughts for the Day playlist, and to enroll your Mass intentions for next Friday's Padre Pio Holy Mass. Thank you for being a part of our community, and stay tuned for the next video on the life of Padre Pio.